The new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who was studying the Great Pyramid of Giza.
For more than 4,000 years, the Great Pyramid of Giza has stood in silence amid the desert, defying time through its sheer presence and the secrets sealed within its stone. Historians have long debated the true purpose of the pyramid, yet no definitive answer ever emerged. That changed when Grok AI, an artificial intelligence tasked with synthesizing geological, physical, and archaeological data without the weight of historical bias, was brought into the investigation. Slowly, the mystery began to clarify. Grok did not find evidence of a cemetery. Instead, it identified the patterns of a functional system, the trace of a forgotten technology, something far darker and far more pragmatic than humanity had ever dared to imagine. The eternal sleep of the gods. In the modern imagination, ancient Egypt appears as a civilization consumed by death and eternity. No symbol embodies this fixation more powerfully than the three artificial mountains of stone rising from the Giza Plateau. History textbooks, orthodox archaeological literature, and thousands of documentaries have reinforced a single narrative for centuries. The pyramids are tombs. They are final resting places, meticulously prepared for the pharaohs, figures regarded as living gods on earth, so they could undertake the most important journey of their existence into the afterlife. Known as the Duat, this story provides a sense of cognitive comfort. It rationalizes the immense effort of an entire nation. When Herodotus, the ancient Greek historian, visited Egypt in the 5th century before the Common Era, he was told by priests that the Great Pyramid was built by 100,000 forced laborers over 20 years to serve the arrogance and spiritual needs of King Khufu. Although modern archaeologists have revised these numbers and demonstrated that the workforce consisted of paid craftsmen rather than slaves, the core purpose appears unchanged. It was a funerary project. This academic consensus rests on a solid foundation of Egyptian culture. We know the Egyptians believed in the Ka and the Ba, aspects of the soul that required a preserved physical body in order to endure. We see the Valley of the Kings at Luxor filled with exquisitely decorated tombs, packed with gold, furniture, and food for the afterlife. From this perspective, concluding that the largest, most expensive, and most durable structure of all, the Great Pyramid, served the same purpose feels entirely logical. It fits neatly into the broader picture of a theocratic society where all resources were devoted to ensuring the ruler's immortality. Through this lens, the architectural complexity of the pyramid is explained as a series of security measures against tomb robbers. Narrow corridors, massive blocking stones, false passages, all are interpreted as desperate attempts to protect the king's mummy. Even the astronomical alignment of the pyramid with the stars is framed through religious mythology. The pharaoh needed a celestial guide, so his soul could ascend and merge with the circumpolar stars of the northern sky. The world accepted this explanation. It felt safe. It honored ancient culture. And most importantly, it closed the door on further questions. When we look at the mass of 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks stacked together, we see an expression of faith and organizational genius. Cracks in the story. Yet when admiration fades and gives way to close observation, cracks begin to appear in the tomb narrative, not on the exterior, but at what should be the very heart of the structure. The king's chamber. If the sole purpose of the Great Pyramid was to house Khufu in death, then this chamber represents a profound cultural and ritual failure. Compare it to any other royal tomb in Egypt. The tomb of Tutankhamun, though small and hastily completed, was overflowing with treasures, vibrant wall paintings, and dense religious texts covering nearly every surface. The tomb of Seti I is a masterpiece of art and hieroglyphic inscription. In stark contrast, The king's chamber inside the Great Pyramid is completely bare. There are no images, no inscriptions, no praises or spells to guide the pharaoh through the underworld. The four walls of red Aswan granite are smoothly polished, cold and sterile. This emptiness is an extreme anomaly in Egyptian tradition, where a fear of empty space often led artists to fill every surface with sacred imagery. The only object in the chamber is a granite box commonly called a sarcophagus. Yet this object introduces further contradictions. It is far more crudely finished than the chamber walls themselves, bearing visible saw and drill marks. Its dimensions are slightly larger than the entrance to the chamber, confirming a technical reality. It must have been placed there before the chamber was fully completed and before the roof was sealed. In other words, the sarcophagus was part of the construction from the beginning, not furniture brought in after a burial. Most importantly, it is empty. No mummy of Khufu has ever been found, nor fragments of a wooden coffin, nor remnants of linen wrappings or grave goods typically left behind even by tomb robbers. The contradiction deepens when we consider the precision of the monument. The Great Pyramid is aligned to true north, with a deviation of only 3/60ths of a degree, roughly 0.05 degrees, a level of accuracy difficult to achieve even today without laser instruments. Its base, covering more than 5 hectares, is leveled so precisely that the southeast corner is less than 2 centimeters higher than the northwest corner. Why would a tomb require such extreme mechanical and astronomical precision? A corpse does not need orientation accurate to fractions of a degree in order to decay. A soul does not need a perfectly level foundation to ascend into the sky. Even more puzzling is the internal shaft system, unlike anything found elsewhere. These are not ventilation shafts, as early Victorian archaeologists assumed. No one needs fresh air in a sealed tomb. 2 shafts from the king's chamber extend all the way to the exterior of the pyramid, while 2 shafts from the queen's chamber below end abruptly behind limestone doors fitted with copper handles, leading nowhere. A funerary design would not include such complex and costly dead-end tunnels. The presence of these features creates a subtle but persistent unease. If we remove the tomb hypothesis from our minds for just a moment, what remains is a massive hollow stone structure, built with machine-like precision, containing technical features that serve neither the living nor the dead. It feels as though we are looking at the empty shell of something entirely different, a function erased by time, leaving behind a misunderstanding that has endured for millennia. The view from artificial intelligence. This is where traditional archaeological methods reach their limits. Humans are constrained by cultural context. We see stone and think of temples. We see underground chambers and think of tombs. To break through this cognitive barrier, a new tool was introduced into the investigation: Grok AI. Unlike historians, Grok has no interest in mythology or religious belief. It processes raw data. Its task is to integrate millions of data points from ground-penetrating radar scans, gravity measurements, material spectral analysis, and astronomical models in order to identify hidden patterns. When Grok began reconstructing a model of the Great Pyramid based purely on physical data, it immediately flagged anomalies invisible to the human eye. The first came from the Scan Pyramids project, which uses muon radiography, a technique that tracks cosmic subatomic particles capable of passing through dense stone. The data confirmed the existence of a vast void, known as the Big Void, at least 30 meters long, located directly above the Grand Gallery. To the AI, the position and shape of this space did not suggest a hidden treasure chamber. Instead, it resembled a load-relieving structure or an acoustic resonance chamber, similar to technical voids found in modern dams or reactors. Next, Grok analyzed the alignment of the shafts, rather than treating them as symbolic pointers to stars. The AI calculated their angles and recognized them as functioning like optical sighting tubes or waveguides. The southern shaft of the king's chamber points directly toward the belt of Orion, associated with Osiris, while the northern shaft aligns with Alpha Draconis. The precision required to construct these shafts through dozens of layers of stone while maintaining exact orientation indicates that this was a mandatory technical requirement of the system, not a decorative choice. A deviation of even 1 degree would cause the system to fail. The most striking discovery emerged when Grok correlated the pyramid's location with geological and hydrological data. Analysis of sediment cores beneath the desert sands confirmed the existence of the Khufu branch, an ancient and substantial arm of the Nile that once flowed directly along the base of the Giza Plateau at the time the pyramid was built. Grok identified a direct relationship. The pyramid was not merely built near water. Its foundation system shows signs of interaction with groundwater levels. Water was not only used to transport stone. The presence of wells and subsurface channels beneath the plateau suggests that water was an operational component. The AI's synthesized report delivered a stark conclusion. This structure exhibits the characteristics of a unified physical system. It has inputs such as water and geological pressure, processors in the form of granite chambers and resonant voids, and directional channels represented by the star shafts. Grok does not label it a machine in the modern sense with gears or circuitry, but it asserts that the structure was designed to manipulate natural physical forces. The layout of corridors and chambers follows the logic of energy or sound flow, not the logic of human habitation or burial. We are standing before the technical blueprint of a colossal device, waiting to be understood for what it truly was. The shocking discovery, when the physical data filtered by Grok is placed within the real-world context of materials science. A startling picture begins to emerge, one that completely shatters the romantic appeal of the tomb hypothesis. The builders of ancient Egypt did not choose stone at random. They selected materials according to physical properties that modern science has only recently begun to fully understand. The entire outer casing of the Great Pyramid was originally covered in fine white Tura limestone, polished to a mirror-like sheen that reflected sunlight with blinding intensity. Chemically, this white limestone is an excellent electrical insulator. In contrast, the inner core was constructed from dolomitic limestone, containing higher levels of metal that allow limited electrical conductivity. But the heart of the system, the king's chamber and the massive load-bearing beams above it, was built entirely from red Aswan granite, transported from a distance of more than 800 kilometers. Why red granite? This stone contains an exceptionally high concentration of quartz crystals, often 55% or more. Quartz possesses a remarkable physical property known as piezoelectricity. When quartz is subjected to mechanical pressure or vibration, it generates an electrical charge. Conversely, when exposed to electrical input or specific frequencies, it vibrates. Now imagine millions of tons of stone pressing down on these granite chambers. The gravitational pressure is immense and constant. Combine this with evidence of an ancient branch of the Nile flowing through limestone caverns beneath the pyramid's foundation. Fast-moving water creates subtle seismic pulses and natural earth currents. This mechanism functions like a colossal planetary generator. Vibrational energy from the earth and flowing water is channeled upward, activating the quartz crystals in the granite chambers and producing an intense electromagnetic or acoustic field within the structure. The precise dimensions of the chambers and the use of massive stacked granite beams above the king's chamber, often called relieving chambers, resemble a radiator or resonance amplifier. They were engineered to vibrate at specific frequencies, harmonizing with the natural frequency of the planet, known as the Schumann resonance, or with targeted acoustic ranges. This explains the absence of a mummy. An organic body placed in such a high-energy environment would rapidly degrade or could not survive at all. That chamber was not a bedroom for the dead. It was the reaction chamber of the system. The blocking doors within the shafts, the copper handles, a metal with excellent conductive properties, and the precise stellar orientation all function as components within a vast open circuit. This raises a profound question. How could a Bronze Age civilization, working with stone and copper tools, understand and apply principles of piezoelectricity and electromagnetic fields? We find no wires, no light bulbs, no devices that consume electricity. So if the pyramid truly functioned as an energy system, what was its output? The architecture of obedience. The answer leads us into a far darker territory of understanding. If energy was not transmitted through conductors to power machines, then it was transmitted through space to act upon the only receptive object nearby, the human body. When Grok analyzed the resonant frequencies that could be generated within the specific dimensions of the King's Chamber and the Grand Gallery, it identified a critical range: infrasound. Modern acoustic research has shown that extremely low-frequency sound waves, particularly around 19 Hz, have profound effects on human physiology and psychology. They cannot be heard by the ear, but the body feels them. They cause vibrations in the eyeball, producing visual disturbances, flashes of light, or shadowy forms that ancient observers might interpret as divine manifestations. They stimulate regions of the brain associated with fear and intense emotion, inducing awe, anxiety, or trance-like states under certain conditions. They can create sensations of disembodiment or the presence of an unseen entity. The Great Pyramid, with its resonant granite structure and unique geographic setting, functions like a colossal instrument tuned to play the music of cognitive control. Imagine a coronation or a supreme religious ritual. The pharaoh enters the structure and lies within the granite box, positioned at the point of highest energy and acoustic concentration. Outside, thousands gather at the base of the pyramid, its white limestone surface blazing under the desert sun. Infrasonic vibrations radiate outward from the core, tightening the chest and overwhelming the crowd with a sense of absolute awe, without any conscious understanding of why. This is a technology of deification. The pyramid was not built to serve the gods. It was built to manufacture gods. Through direct physical and neurological manipulation, it transformed the pharaoh, an ordinary human being, into a supernatural presence in the perception of the people. Royal authority did not rest solely on law or military force. It was reinforced by an undeniable lived spiritual experience. Generated by this immense stone apparatus, this revelation overturns our understanding of Egyptian civilization. Religion was not the motivation for building the pyramids. Instead, the pyramids were tools designed to produce and sustain religion, and through it, social order. What we are witnessing is a form of governance so sophisticated it is deeply unsettling, one that uses architecture and physics to directly intervene in human consciousness, turning obedience into a natural biological response. The echo of power. As the veil of mystery falls away, revealing the mechanism of psychological control behind the image of eternal beauty, a chilling silence settles over history. We are forced to confront a stark reality. Knowledge of this technology is entirely absent from surviving records. The Egyptians were meticulous record keepers. They documented bread rations, livestock counts, and annual Nile flood levels. Yet, there is not a single technical drawing explaining how the pyramid functioned, not one written line describing acoustic effects or electromagnetic forces. This absence is not accidental. It bears the signature of absolute information control. This knowledge, the ability to manipulate collective human perception through architecture, was the ultimate weapon of the ruling elite. It was a state secret of the highest order, transmitted orally within the inner circles of high priests and royalty, and it may have died with the collapse of the Old Kingdom. What remained for later generations, including the Egyptians themselves, was only the outer shell of myth. The implications are immense. They suggest that human history is not a straight line of progress from ignorance to digital civilization. There were other branches, other peaks, where humans possessed a far deeper understanding of psychology and environmental physics than we typically assume. Yet, that knowledge was used for domination rather than liberation. The fall of the pyramid-building civilization may not have been caused solely by drought or war, but by the failure of this very system of control. When the mechanism ceased to function, or when its secrets were lost, we modern observers look at the pyramids with the confidence of a world shaped by smartphones and the internet. Yet we are standing before the remains of a primitive but extraordinarily effective form of mass media. It required no screens and no wireless signals. It used stone and vibration to deliver a message of power directly into the human nervous system. The true fear does not come from the idea that extraterrestrials built it, but from the realization of how intelligent and how ruthless humans once were in designing obedience among their own kind. The machine still waits. The investigation supported by Grok AI does not end with a satisfying answer, but with an unsettling open question. The pyramids of Giza still stand. Their white limestone casing was stripped away to build Cairo. Their interior contents were looted, but the core structure, the operational engine, remains intact. Millions of tons of quartz-rich granite still rest in precise alignment. The resonant chambers retain their original dimensions and geometric ratios. The subterranean water systems beneath the plateau still exist, even though water levels have changed, in theory. The machine has not been destroyed. It is simply dormant. It has remained silent for thousands of years due to the absence of specific activation conditions. Perhaps water levels, insulating layers, or an operational procedure long forgotten. Yet its physical potential has never vanished. This leaves us with a deep sense of unease. We live in an age where technologies of behavioral and cognitive control are returning in new digital forms. But when we look back at Giza, we see the prototype of all of them standing at the very dawn of history. It is a permanent reminder that the ambition to control the human mind is not a modern invention, but a core obsession of power itself. Should we continue trying to reactivate ancient knowledge of the pyramids? Do we truly want to understand how early civilizations reached into the deepest layers of the human brain? Or are there doors that are better left sealed forever? The pyramids maintain their cold silence, a silence not of death, but of a machine waiting for its next operator to step inside. And perhaps that is the most frightening thought of all.